What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back with another video. Today we're back with the daily NHL trade rumors from Specters Hockey. Today is the January 24th edition of the show, so we're going to get right into it. As always, the link for the trade rumors is down below as well if you'd like to read it, but I also like to give my thoughts in this video and discuss with you guys what you guys think could possibly happen. We're approaching the February 25th NHL trade deadline, so it's good that we can discuss these things as the weeks go on, the days go by, and we can kind of go back and see maybe if some of these trade rumors make sense, you know, when it comes closer to the deadline. So basically the first thing we're going to talk about here is the Edmonton Oilers. So as we all know, the Edmonton Oilers fired Peter Chiarelli after, you know, a pretty bad tenure with the Oilers. They made the playoffs once. The team just wasn't there. The depth wasn't there. And we heard rumors, obviously, last week and the week before that the team may be willing to give up their first-round pick this year. They might be willing to give up Jesse Puljujarvi, like basically their future to win now. But as Bob Nicholson, I believe that's who, the CEO of the Edmonton Oilers, basically said in a press conference after Peter Chiarelli was fired, that they aren't willing to give up their assets unless it makes 100% sense, which basically means he's probably not going to do it. And they don't want to do that. They're not offering up their first round pick. They're not offering up their futures for help right now. They want help for the long term. They want to win. They think that they're still good enough to make the playoffs this year, but they're not willing to give up their future. They're not willing to mortgage their future just for right now. So Terry Jones weighed in on what might be next for the Edmonton Oilers, saying that, you know, basically reiterating that it's not going to make sense for them to trade all these, you know, future assets for help basically for half a season unless they're picking up a ton of assets that would help them over the course of the next few years. But I think what people need to understand is after this Koskinen signing, which was what, $4.5 million per season for the next 3 years, the Oilers have said, okay, Cam Talbot, he's probably done with the Oilers, but his trade value has essentially diminished, and it got worse after signing Koskinen, basically saying, okay, well, Talbot's not our guy anymore, so now we're ready to trade him now that we've told the whole world that he's not our guy. To me, that doesn't make sense, and his trade value is not going to be very good. Of course, they want that money off the books, but he will be a UFA after this season. Bob Nicholson basically did state, though, that they were happy with Talbot and, you know, they want him to continue to win. But they were basically nicely saying that they're probably looking for a deal for him. The Lucic contract, you're probably not going to be able to move that. I keep trying to think of ways that it could be moved, but I'm also not a GM, and it's not my responsibility. But I'm still trying to come up with ways to do that because I am focusing on an Oilers rebuild video that's coming very soon. And I know there's some other people that want to do stuff like that, which is really cool. So be on the lookout for other people doing those videos as well. I think Nyquist is going to do one on NHL 19. I think I've seen that on his page. That would be cool. But regardless, they don't have the money to be able to make these long-term signings and big trades unless they move out a ton of cap. They've got McDavid locked up. You still have Nuge on a deal. You still have Draisaitl on a deal, which Draisaitl was overpaid. The Oilers are in a bit of a bind here because they literally have to shed salary. A lot of people, again, I'll bring it up, didn't like when I said that maybe Chris Russell is a guy that has to get moved. People are saying, oh, well, he does good for the team. Well, your GM, former GM, and your management, because the Oilers management has been awful over the years, has put you in a position where you're going to have to make some tough decisions and some probably still some bad ones to come. This is another rebuild, even though they're saying it's not, because you have to shed a ton of salary. Russell might be one of those guys to go. Regardless, Sportsnet also brought up, Mike Johnston basically brought up the names that could be a replacement for Peter Chiarelli. Right now, Keith Gretzky is the interim GM, basically for the time being. It's not a set in stone that he's just going to be the GM, and I don't think most people would want that. Mark Hunter, Kelly McCrimmon, Ron Hextall, Mike Fuda, Dean Lombardi, and Mike Gillis are possible replacements. I don't know if I'm really sold on all those guys. Mark Hunter, if you're familiar with the Leaf system, I think that he actually would fit in quite well. He's very good when it comes to drafting. Like he's got a lot of really good scouts. His team's good. I think Mark Hunter would be a decent fit for that team because they do want to, you know, be in the new young, fast type of team, and Mark Hunter can bring that. you know, he was the guy that didn't get the job over Kyle Dubas. So we'll have to see what happens with the Oilers, but that's very interesting to see that they are, of course, going into this All-Star break looking for a new GM, but might possibly be in the trade rumor mill for a little bit because they might have to make some moves going towards the trade deadline. All right, so the next thing is Darren Dreger, again, talking about the Carolina Hurricanes and the fact that tons of scouts have been at their games, and Hurricane scouts have been at a ton of Leaf games and other teams that need defensemen. He's still talking about the Leafs discussing defensemen possibly with the Hurricanes, but I think this goes for any team that's looking for a defenseman. Carolina has a ton. Of course, Dougie Hamilton might be the one that might go. We've heard that that could be a chance there. Pesce might be. I can't see it. Justin Falk has been in the rumors for a long time. Trevor Van Riemsdyk, who is a new piece for Carolina, I don't think, well, newer piece for them. I don't think that he would go. I don't know. It would be really interesting to see what Don Waddell is looking for in Carolina because he's been looking for a lot of scoring, and we've heard that they've been talking to the Leafs first about Nylander and then a Kapanen apparently, maybe Johnsson. People have suggested Nazem Kadri, again, big night from him. I don't think any of those guys should go. Obviously, I'm a Leaf fan. I don't think Kadri would go. I think that they're very happy with the fact that he's a depth centerman and he's getting paid less than $5 million, which is a steal for a guy like Kadri, who's a two-way player. But and he's starting to score again, which is good. Hat trick last night, 4 points on the night. Nylander's not going to get traded. We've heard that time and time again from Dubas, and I think that they're starting to see Nylander's back. Kapanen might be a guy that could go. Johnsson's a guy that could go, but I don't think the Leafs are interested in doing any of that. But this, again, this is not just about the Leafs. Carolina needs forwards, and any teams that need defensemen, Carolina has a good depth blue line. Of course, we've seen Fox as well being moved over to Carolina in the big Dougie Hamilton deal from Calgary. So they have a lot of pieces. They could be willing to get rid of a couple of them to get scoring help, and we'll have to see what happens as the days go on. The next thing I want to talk about real quickly is Wayne Simmons. There's been some reports that Philly is willing to let him go for the right price, but it could be a high price. Again, the Leafs apparently are in that. We've talked about that before, but I still am on the side that thinks the Bruins will be interested on that. Just I wanted to quickly bring that up again. I did not want to talk about the Leafs for a second straight segment, so we'll have to keep our eye on Simmons, and if there's more information coming up, we'll discuss it. For this time, we'll just leave it alone. Another one, the Canucks, they're back in the rumor mill, could be interested in Ferland. We discussed that a little bit yesterday. But Elliot Friedman said that they could be interested in the 26-year-old winger. We also heard some reports that Benning is not willing to give up future assets just to make the playoffs this year, which is a good sign for the Canucks because they have a ton of young pieces. So in regards to the Canucks maybe making a move to try to get in, I don't think Benning's really willing to give up a ton of pieces or, you know, mortgage their future to just get into the playoffs. And I think that that's something the Oilers need to do, which we've talked about earlier. But the Canucks being in on Ferland, it depends on the price. It could be too much for them. But again, Benning has said, and I believe he said it yesterday or even this morning on the 24th, that they're not really willing to give up a ton of their future assets just to make it into the playoffs this year. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, another trade rumor video. Again, I'll be doing them daily. I have a second upload coming today as well, so be on the lookout for that. If you like music, I have a secondary channel called Andrew Piluk. Make sure to subscribe there. And if you're a wrestling fan, I have an account called Andrew Piluk Wrestling that will be active very soon. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this. Make sure to click the notification bell. Click subscribe if you're new. I'd love to have more hockey conversations with you. Join the squad. Let's get to 5,000 subscribers. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.